Hey guys, it's the Lonely Fanboy Flay here, and just like Legend of Everfree when it got released, I reviewed it right away. I'm gonna do the same thing with Adventure Time Islands, the miniseries. This is not only gonna be a review on the miniseries, but also my true opinions on the show, and I don't trust this show anymore. I mean, I do trust the first two seasons, but the rest, really not. Also, I'm gonna tell you a story of what happened to me last year when I started commenting and then later making more YouTube videos. So, anyway, let's get into the story. It starts with a strange machine that is by the beach for some reason, and then it crashed to the Candy Kingdom, and then it destroys most of the Candy Guardians all over the Candy Kingdom, and when it sees Finn, they try to check what kind of species Finn in, and he's a human. And then when the robot was about to say anything, when Finn figure out something, Jake stops it. I really don't blame him since he's just trying to do the right thing. Anyway, when they try to figure out what it is, Susan Storm gets a flashback of not only the new islands, but this person as well who she remembered. And just so you know, I know that Susan is a cyborg, but it really didn't hurt me that much. I mean, I pretty much know that she isn't fully human. But anyway, let's just keep continuing. When PP checked out that small machine, apparently that small machine in that ship is actually the same origin of Susan. They see this island, which is still unknown, but PP doesn't want to go there, and he doesn't want Finn or Susan or Jake to go there, but Finn, Susan, and Jake decides to go there anyway. I'm just gonna let this out of the way. I do not know what that character is. I'll explain more about this later. And so is this character. I know you're really confused, but just wait until the end. When PB says that he wants Finn and his friends back home safely, as a promise. I'll get into that later. I know I said that 3 times already, but I really have minimum of trust of the show. But anyway, that's the end of the first episode, and now let's get into the second episode. Most of the second episode just contains a Finn and the others just go around the sea, which is pretty much one of my favorite scenes in this miniseries because of how adventurous and action-packed it is. And then, during that time, we meet this character who people are annoyed to, which is really mean to him. And then, a minute later, BMO just sneaked in to join them on their journey. BMO. Sometimes he's or she or whatever. But anyway, the Green Monster said that they completely ignored them because they were wearing earmuffs, but they lied. But when BMO said, "We don't want to listen to you," things just get a lot worse. And what I mean by that, twister worse. Anyway, this was exciting to see. This is why this is my second favorite of this mini-series. I mean, I know I said this is my favorite, but this is just the action-packed stuff is my favorite in the mini-series. Anyway, let's keep continuing. When they lost the boat, Jake has to become a boat. And then on the journey, Jake sees his parents, but apparently they're really not his parents. It's because of these special jellyfishes, which is pretty much one of the most interesting things I see from the show. Anyway, let's keep continuing. And when Susan has that jellyfish on her head, she sees that person again. And then Finn just removed the fish out of her head. We're 20 minutes into this miniseries, just give it more time. The Green Monster apologizes for breaking their boat. And so the Green Monster completely pushed the main characters so they can get to the islands. However, they're in the fog. But not only that, they meet this mysterious machine, which completely separates the entire 4 characters apart, which ends this episode. When Finn wakes up, he goes to this winter place with buildings that has outfits and cards. Well, he has to well because he's completely freezing to death. And then it became sunlight. Random. But again, this show is random. When Finn gets stuck in a trap a person helps him. And that person does nothing but ignore him. Until we get a scene of Finn making art with this guy, I guess. He's just basically drawing what that guy wants him to draw. I'm sorry I'm not knowing all the characters. I just pretty much given up on the show. More on that later. I'm gonna say that a lot. I may sound like a broken record, but I just want you to know already. Anyway, hell is breaking news. And when Finn gets inside the treehouse, he sees a lot of electronics everywhere. This guy is apparently watching a movie and Finn joins him, and this is about humans in this show. Which they all die, apparently. And that's basically what this entire movie thing is. Finn is depressed, but he managed to find Jake, but not Susan and BMO. BMO's apparently at space on the moon, but he really isn't. Which ends the 3rd episode. Now time to get to the 4th episode. Finn and Jake rides this boat to get to the real islands, and then they meet this electronic ward. Until they finally see BMO, who is wearing this goggle electronic thing. And then when Jake and Finn wear those, we get this madness. It's pretty much a reality Avatar land thing that I'm not sure where it comes from. I'm sorry I'm not getting into a lot of topic and I keep talking about the story a lot, but this is going to be a very long one. Just get used to it. When these avatars are completely arguing with Finn and Jake, we get this. No, really, that's really BMO's avatar. Weird, but the show is weird. I really got nothing else to say about these scenes. Let's just keep going. When Jake goes into that building, he apparently sees humans wearing those electronics, and apparently Finn isn't actually the last human to live in the show until the very end of this miniseries. I know I'm spoiling, but like in Legend of Everfleet, this is a spoiler review just because I want to release this early. When Jake turned off the power, BMO is really upset. And not only that, every human is upset and they're about to attack Jake, Finn, and BMO. And we get these small characters. They turn back on the electronics. And Finn and Jake completely goes inside this tube thing and they go inside the glass going thing. I know I'm not good at science, but I'm trying my best to get along with this story. Which also ends the 4th episode, and now we're halfway there until I give my entire thoughts on this entire miniseries. And the show as well. This episode this time is starring Susan Storm and his friend. Susan Storm goes into this broken place, and she gets flashbacks about her past. And her past is that she was actually in class with other humans. This is pretty much one of the most memorable things in this special, even though that Adventure Time is memorable by all people, well, not for me. Anyway, apparently Susan's friend is actually Frida, who apparently makes inventions, and throughout the years, she improves. And in this scene, when Susan sees Finn's dad, is pretty much the least good thing about this miniseries. I'll explain that later. They get the other people back to the building, and Frida has secrets. And we meet this new character, Nova. Anyway, back to Frida and Susan Storm. We get a scene of stars, which is obviously that Frida wants to go somewhere else. But apparently Susan Storm sees Frida trying to run away from the island. And then they see this boat machine that apparently that they can get out of the island. But Susan Storm doesn't want to go because they would get hurt badly. Because apparently outside of these islands, the outside is just the bad thing of this entire planet. In other words, dangerous. Seriously, it's really obvious that wherever we see Adventure Time episodes, we pretty much know that there's going to be danger. Okay, not every single Adventure Time episode, but you know what I mean. Flora actually promised Susan Storm that she won't tell on anyone, and she agrees. Susan tells Dr. Gross that what is the good way for humans to do, and she says,
"Well, listen, kid. We tried exploring the outside world, and we were almost destroyed. We're the last humans, so it's our responsibility to stay here. And it's your responsibility to help these misguided hiders."
You think that Susan Storm might let Flora go, but apparently Dr. Gross can actually take control of humans because inside of humans' brains, Susan Storm apparently destroys Flora's plans of escaping, so she takes Flora back to the hospital. Anyway, time to go to the 6th episode. Man, I'm going so fast. I really want to get this over with so I can give my thoughts on the show, but anyway. Finn gets some memory about what her real mom is, and we get to see his dad as well. Apparently, her mom is a doctor who makes people healthy and help people from their injuries. And then we get to see Finn's dad, who's just walking around the street like a joke. But not a complete joke than Ash. He has friends with these guys, and he uses electricity to change their faces. But apparently they get into trouble. Susan found Martin, and she gives him to Nova. But Martin wants to escape, but Nova doesn't want that to happen. Anyway, after all that, we get scenes of Nova and Martin hanging out with each other until they get married. You'll pretty much know what's gonna happen. Yep, they have a baby. And that baby is Finn. Yep, that's how Finn got born. Oh boy, I got a lot to say later in this mini-series. When Martin is taking care of Finn, the bad guys are about to attack him. He had to escape, which means that Nova is completely sad that him, and especially Finn, isn't with her anymore because of what happened. And when Finn and Martin try to escape, we get this monster from episode 2, which completely separates his father. Oh boy. Okay, I'm just gonna get this minor problem out of the way. We never see what happened to Martin at all. I mean, we get to see him in the season 6 premiere, but it's really sad that we don't get any information of what happened to him after that. It's just really sad. I mean, it just makes him completely out of the mind in the comment. Oh my god. People really did not like that episode because of Martin. Anyway, I'm not gonna get into that. Let's just keep continuing because we're almost done. Anyway, the other characters arrest the bad guys, but Nova is completely upset. Episode 7. They finally go to this entirely different city, which is pretty much one of the good things in this entire episode. Anyway, we get to see a ton of humans, but the mystery of that is that they're all robots. So, Finn may be excited, but he just wants to see his mom. He found his mom. Meanwhile,